Imagine you're flying over the vast, empty tundra of Siberia's Yamal Peninsula. For thousands of miles, there's nothing but frozen earth, lakes, and sky. Then, suddenly, you see it, a massive, perfectly circular hole, plunging deep into the ground. It looks like a scar, a wound on the face of the earth. When the first of these craters was discovered back in 2014, it sent shockwaves through the scientific community and the internet. What could possibly create such a thing? The initial theories were as wild as the landscape itself. Some screamed meteorite impact, but there was no evidence of a collision. No scorched earth or impact debris. Others, more creatively, pointed to extraterrestrial activity. Could it be a hidden UFO base, or the result of some alien weapon test? Even more grounded ideas, like a simple sinkhole, didn't quite fit. The edges of the crater were thrown outwards, suggesting something had erupted from within, not collapsed from above. The mystery of the Siberian black holes was born, and the world was desperate for an answer. The truth, when it finally emerged, was arguably more terrifying than any alien invasion. Scientists from around the world flocked to the remote Yamal Peninsula, which ironically translates to the end of the world. They rappelled into the depths of these gaping maws, collecting samples of ice, soil, and air. And what they found in the air at the bottom of these craters was the first major clue. Incredibly high concentrations of methane gas. This wasn't a hole made by something coming from the sky. It was a hole blown out from deep within the earth. The culprit wasn't a rock from space, but a powerful greenhouse gas escaping its frozen prison. To understand how this happens, you need to understand permafrost. This is ground that has remained frozen solid for at least 2 consecutive years. And in places like Siberia, it can be thousands of feet thick and hundreds of thousands of years old. It's like a giant, natural freezer, and locked within it is a staggering amount of organic material, ancient plants, animals, and microbes. As this material decomposes very, very slowly in the absence of oxygen, it produces methane. For millennia, this methane has been trapped, frozen in place. But now, the freezer is starting to thaw. As global temperatures rise, the Arctic is warming at a rate 2 to 3 times faster than the rest of the planet. This warming penetrates deep into the permafrost, causing it to melt. But it doesn't melt evenly. Deep beneath the surface, something fascinating and dangerous occurs. Scientists discover the existence of what they call cryopegs. These are pockets of unfrozen, super salty water trapped within the permafrost. Think of how salt melts ice on your sidewalk in winter. The same principle applies here. These salty pockets can remain liquid even at below freezing temperatures. Now, here's where it gets explosive. As the surrounding permafrost thaws, the methane gas that was once locked in solid ice crystals begins to seep out. It migrates through the ground and accumulates in these cryopegs. The cryopeg acts like a natural underground storage tank. More and more gas flows in, but it has nowhere to go. The pressure inside this subterranean pocket begins to build, and it builds to an immense degree. The frozen ground above it acts like a cap on a pressure cooker. Eventually, the pressure becomes too much for the overlying layer of frozen earth to contain. The ground begins to swell upwards, forming a large mound or hill, which scientists call a pingo or a bulganiac. Local reindeer herders had known about these mounds for generations. They would sometimes notice a new hill appearing on the flat tundra, swelling over months or even years. They described it as the ground trembling, like a pimple getting ready to pop. It's a perfect analogy. The pressure from the trapped methane gas pushes the surface up, stretching it like a water balloon being overfilled. And then, one day, it ruptures. The explosion is colossal. It's not a fiery explosion like you'd see with natural gas in your home, because there's no ignition source. Instead, it's a purely pneumatic, high-pressure blast. The cap of earth and ice is launched into the air with incredible force, throwing soil, rock, and massive blocks of ice hundreds of feet in every direction. What's left behind is that perfectly round, deep crater. It's a violent geological event, a massive terrestrial burp that releases a huge plume of methane directly into the atmosphere. Scientists estimate that a single one of these explosions can release tens of thousands of cubic meters of gas in an instant. Since 2014, more than a dozen of these explosive craters have been identified across Siberia's Arctic peninsulas, and researchers using satellite imagery believe there are thousands upon thousands of those precursor mounds, those ticking time bombs dotting the landscape. Each one is a potential future crater, a potential plume of methane waiting to be released. This isn't just a local geological curiosity, it's a stark and alarming symptom of a much larger global problem. The Arctic permafrost is one of the planet's largest carbon sinks. It's estimated to hold about 1.5 trillion tons of frozen carbon, which is roughly twice as much carbon as is currently in our entire atmosphere. As this permafrost thaws, it's not just methane that gets released. The ancient organic matter also begins to decompose more rapidly, releasing both methane and carbon dioxide. This creates a terrifying potential for a positive feedback loop. Here's how it works. The planet warms, which causes the permafrost to thaw. The thawing permafrost releases greenhouse gases like methane and CO2. These gases trap more heat in the atmosphere, which in turn causes even more warming. This accelerated warming then thaws even more permafrost, which releases even more greenhouse gases, and so on. It's a vicious cycle that, once it gains enough momentum, could become self-sustaining and incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to stop. The Siberian craters are a dramatic, visible manifestation of this feedback loop kicking into gear. They are literally the sound of our planet's climate system beginning to break down in one of its most critical regions. The implications are profound. This isn't just about a few strange holes in a remote part of the world. It's about a planetary-scale process that could dramatically accelerate climate change beyond our current projections. The methane being released is particularly concerning. While it doesn't stay in the atmosphere as long as carbon dioxide, over a 20-year period, it is more than 80 times more potent at trapping heat. So, these sudden, large-scale releases can have a significant and immediate impact on global temperatures. They weren't meteorites. They weren't alien impacts. Yet these massive holes in Siberia appeared almost overnight. So, what's exploding beneath the Arctic? They are a direct consequence of a warming world. They are a warning sign, written in the very landscape of our planet, telling us that the delicate balance of the Arctic is being disrupted, with potentially catastrophic consequences for us all. What happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. These explosive events are a clear and present danger, a reminder that we are pushing our planet's systems to a breaking point. Thank you for watching. If you found this mystery fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories and hidden truths. Only here on Forgotten Clues.